Hey, Donald, it's me, Catherine. Do you remember me? The voice was hoarse but familiar, cutting through the usual city noise. Trump's steps faltered. He turned, his brows furrowing, scanning the dimly lit street. A woman sat on the sidewalk, wrapped in a tattered coat, gripping a cardboard sign that read, "Homeless, please help." For a split second, he thought it was a mistake, just another person down on their luck. But then he looked closer. Catherine Miller, his high school sweetheart, the girl who once danced with him at prom, the one who promised to follow him anywhere. And now, she was staring at him from the cold pavement, eyes wide, filled with disbelief and something else, shame. Trump's heart pounded. How did this happen? Memories flashed before his eyes. The late-night drives, the whispered dreams about the future, the moment she had kissed him before graduation and said, "We'll always find each other again." And yet, for decades, they hadn't, until now, and this was the last place he ever expected to see her. His security detail shifted uneasily, unsure of what to do. This wasn't a usual situation, but Trump held up a hand, signaling them to stay back. "Catherine?" His voice came out softer than he expected. She let out a nervous laugh, brushing strands of her unkempt hair away from her face. "You actually stopped." She hadn't expected him to. People didn't stop for her anymore. He took a slow step forward, his polished shoes clicking against the concrete. His security detail hesitated behind him, unsure of what was happening. "Catherine?" Her lips trembled. "Donald?" The past rushed back all at once. The football games, the secret kisses, the nights spent dreaming about a future they never got. She was different now, her face lined with exhaustion, her hands rough from the streets. But there was no doubt, it was her. "What happened to you?" he asked, voice quieter than usual. She looked away, pulling her coat tighter around herself. "Life happened?" A bitter chuckle escaped her lips, but her eyes held something deeper: pain, exhaustion, and the unbearable weight of time. Trump wanted to ask so many things, but he knew he had to listen first. The woman in front of him was not the girl he once knew, and he needed to understand what had changed. She hesitated, then let out a dry laugh. "You want to know what happened, Donald?" "You really want to know?" She gestured around her. "I had dreams, you know that, but dreams don't always work out." Catherine had been a journalist once, chasing truth, exposing corruption. She had believed in making a difference, but one bad decision, a relationship with the wrong man, had sent her life spiraling out of control. She left college, moved from job to job, struggling to keep up. Then her mother got sick, bills stacked up, and one by one, the doors started closing. She fought, God, she fought. But life didn't fight fair. A layoff, a missed rent payment, a downward spiral that she never saw coming. She explained how she had tried everything, how every door she knocked on closed in her face, how each rejection pushed her deeper into the shadows of society. "I didn't choose this, Donald. No one does." Trump clenched his jaw, his mind racing. This wasn't just another statistic. This was Catherine. She used to be unstoppable, smart, ambitious, full of fire. And now, she was sitting on the cold concrete, shivering in the night air. He exhaled sharply. "Get up," she blinked. "What?" "Get up. You don't belong here." She stared at him, searching his face for the man she used to know. "Donald, I can't just—" "Yes, you can." His tone left no room for argument, and for the first time in years, someone looked at her like she wasn't broken beyond repair. Finally, she reached out, and he took her hand. As he helped her up, he saw it. The fire was still there, buried but not gone. For the first time in years, she felt like she wasn't invisible. She wasn't just another face in the crowd. She was Catherine again. That night, Trump didn't just give Catherine money. He gave her a fresh start, a warm hotel room, a hot meal, a doctor's appointment, a plan. The next morning, he made calls. By noon, she had a job interview lined up, a real chance to rebuild. At lunch, she looked at him, eyes shining with gratitude. "Why are you doing this?" Trump smirked. "Because once upon a time, you believed in me. Now it's my turn." She covered her face, tears slipping through her fingers. For the first time in years, she wasn't invisible. She mattered. And maybe, just maybe, life was giving her a second chance. Weeks passed. Catherine found stability again, a new job, an apartment, and something she hadn't felt in a long time: hope. Trump checked in on her from time to time, curious but keeping his distance. One evening, he met her at a small coffee shop. "So, what's next?" he asked. She smiled, looking down at her hands. "I want to help others, Donald, just like you helped me." Her voice held a new strength, a purpose. "You always wanted to change the world," he said, taking a sip of his coffee. She nodded. "Yeah, I just never thought I'd have to fall so far to do it." Trump leaned back, watching her. She wasn't the girl from high school anymore. She was something more. "You're gonna do great things, Catherine." She looked at him, gratitude shining in her eyes. "I already have, thanks to you." And for the first time in decades, they both knew this was the way it was always meant to be.